morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies. And my name's Angela and I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady. Right, and a little cheeky reminder before I start on the main part of the video, please remember to like, subscribe and comment. Now don't forget, with the little bell, if you click on the bell, make sure you click all, and then you get all the notifications for all of the videos that come up, rather than letting YouTube just choose the ones that it thinks you're going to like. And today I'm back with an impromptu video, and this one is because I got tagged. Oh no, I got tagged in the 10 yarn questions challenge. Now I was tagged by Sabrina Melodieuse, and this whole thing was started by our beautiful Crystal at Bag a Day. Now you guys all know I absolutely adore my Crystal. Oh, I shouldn't really call her mine, she's everybody's, isn't she? But I totally adore Crystal. She was the one that introduced me into making clothing or any type of garment. The first thing I tried was one of her shawls that had puff stitches within the repeat section. I then realised I didn't like puff stitches. But I completed it. I just left out that puff stitch row. So then I realised I can actually change patterns around, which I thought was a bit strange, like not strange, but a bit presumptuous. Oh, nice long word. Because I hadn't been crocheting more than about 4 months when I came across Crystal. And so I'd made the shawl, not quite to her specifications, but close enough. And then I moved on to blankets and baby clothes or little people dresses, and then back to shawls for adults. And I just had so much fun. Every time she brought out a new pattern, it was, I'm making it. It didn't matter what it was. I went down that crazy route of, I absolutely adore you, I love the way you teach, so I'm going to make everything. And of course I've made hats as well. As I've shown you the chocolate bonbon hat that I made, the houndstooth hat. Cracky, I can't believe I'm actually remembering them. I'm sorry, I can't remember the pattern numbers, but I got there, didn't I? If I can, I will shove them in the link below. And there'll be a link up the top to a Crystal at Bag a Day's Facebook page. There's also going to be one for that cheeky toe rag that tagged me, our Sabrina Melodieuse. Now, I absolutely love her. As you know, she loves taking my patterns and changing them up, and I love seeing what she does with them. So far she has taken the cupcake blanket. Now you can see the cupcake cushion behind me. She's taken that panel and turned it into a drawstring bag. Ooh. Then she took the poppy square, the poppy granny square, and she changed that. I was expecting a blanket. She came out with a top. I was like, super duper crazy, very imaginative, and absolutely I love what she does with my patterns and her own patterns as well. So I'm going to pop a link to her channel up above and also down below. Right, so before I start the questions off, I think it'd be a good idea to give you guys a little bit of background history if you don't already know it. Now, I have been crocheting for approximately 3 years now. Yeah, about that, since the December of 2018. Now, I started off doing amigurumi, and then of course I moved on to clothing when I found Crystal at Bag a Day. Now, I used to purchase the yarn from the pound shop because it was the closest place for me. Then I found out that Aldi did yarn, so I grabbed some of that, and of course the yarn I picked up then was a DK, and it was just a simple acrylic yarn, nothing special and nothing flamdazzy dozy, because of course I was still learning. Then of course we came to Aldi's and I managed to pick up a couple of cakes, which I found out was a wool content, and it turns out I don't like working with wool on my hands. I don't like it either. So every yarn that you've seen on this channel that I've purchased, although it looks like over this last year I've bought a great deal, yeah, I probably have, but it is a yarn that I'm now stockpiling to make products with and items with for the channel. Before I started the channel, I would buy for each individual product item that I made, and I had a little little box. I am talking a little box which had all the colours stacked in it, so that if I had anything left over it went back in there, which is why I'm so tight with my yarn. And then of course COVID hit and the UK got locked down, so I couldn't go shopping anywhere. I couldn't pick up the wool, which was why I started finding places to buy online, and of course why I started up the channel, because I thought, hey, we all need a laugh and people do sometimes laugh at me, so bonus. Right, so now let's get on with these questions. Hopefully that background information will help you understand why I'm a bit and with some of the answers today. Right, so now I best get on with these 10 yarn questions. Alright, so the very first one is, what is my favourite colour of yarn? Well, of course I use so many different colours. You may not have picked it up, but my favourite colour of yarn is actually a green, a light green, or a greeny blue, or a mix of the two, or a mix with an extra bit. But basically I absolutely love duck egg blues and other sort of colours like that. That is my favourite colour. That was a bit strange, wasn't it? And you'll get to see those yarns a bit more in a minute. Question number 2, what is my favourite weight of yarn? Well, I haven't had a great deal of experience with all of the different weights of yarn, as you know from earlier on in the video. So really at the moment my favourite weight of yarn has to be DK, solely because it's what I've got the most of and it's what I'm used to working with, and I find it very, very versatile. But on the flip side of that, my favourite weight of cotton, I've got a thing for cotton as well. I've lost it. Where is it? There we go. The favourite weight of cotton is, haven't got a clue, it doesn't say it on there. Brill. Okay, so my favourite cotton I found so far is the Papaya Sunday. Absolutely adored working with this. Don't get me wrong, it did take a little bit of getting used to, because the size of the hook I needed was really minute, but I'm lucky I've got some hooks with some nice handles on, which made it easier to hold them. And the reason I loved this was because it completely and utterly surprised the daylights out of me. I thought it was going to be a very short colour changes, a very short amount of work, and I would need loads and loads of balls. Turns out I was wrong. As some of you know, I actually ended up making a top. Yes, I did end up buying a couple more balls of the yarn in a different colour to what I've just shown you. And I made this top. It is a size 16 and it took me about 3.5 balls of it, because of course I've got a thing about having everything equal and no mismatching in my stripes still. Okay, so there was a bit of colour coordination, colour work with it. And this will get worn in a couple of months when the weather increases and works well. So I found that I loved working with cotton during the summer months, and I love working with a DK during the winter months. Right, so question number 3 is, what is my favourite style of yarn? It's whichever new one comes in and I go ooh to, I think. I think it does really depend on the project that you're planning to make with the yarn that you purchase. As I said, I love the cotton for that top, but then I also love the watercolors here, which is by Signet DK. Now it stripes up beautifully, and there is no need for me to sit there and cut it and slice into it. I just let it work, let it do its own thing. I made a jumper with it, and for my mum, and although as I was working it, I did see the colour change sort of midway through the row, but I was only using single crochets for it. And when you took a step back from the project and looked at it from a distance, it had beautiful stripes in it. There was no mismatched and a bit here and a bit there type colour work. So I absolutely loved this for that jumper. So I'll pop that one there so you can have a nose. Now, and that one I got, the cotton I got from Good Vibes Yarn. And this one I got from the Secret Yarn Stash. There'll be a link below for the Secret Yarn Stash. It's an affiliated link and it helps me raise some funds for the poppies that I make each year for the Royal British Legion. Right, let's get off that because we're meant to be talking yarn. Question number 4 is, what is my favourite fibre of yarn? Now, at this moment in time, I haven't gone down the route of absolutely every fibre under the sun. I've had the acrylics, or I've got the acrylics, I should say. I've tried wool mix blends and other bits and pieces. So, but one I do like, although it's it works up beautifully, it looks absolutely lovely, absolutely wicked for shawls. Nudge nudge, have a nose at Crystals. Is the boho spirit. Yeah, boho spirit. Now this comes in so many different colours. It is really lovely and soft and works up well. The only thing I have found with this is that if you're trying to use it to sew seams together and you're pulling your yarn through with your needle, it felts. So that is a downside to that yarn, but of course I still love it and it's still soft and it's still gorgeous. And of course, yeah, I have, as I said, I haven't done a great deal. I've got some other yarns up on the top, on my top shelf there, which are Angora, but I am a little bit scared to use those at the moment, because they are just, one, they're so pretty up there on the shelf, and two, because I've had a reaction to wool, I'm worried that I may also have a reaction to Angora. And of course, once you start undoing that, it's such a beautiful yarn that you don't really want to try and attempt to cake it up on the wool winder. So yeah, I've got to find exactly the right pattern for that one, so a bit more looking, I think. And if anyone has any ideas of what I can use 2 balls of Angora for, please give me a heads up in the comment section below. So as I said, at the moment the only brands that I can get easily are the ones that are online until next week, or today. No, it's today. Today, shops open again, yarn stores. I can start going round and being nosy. I plan to go into one certain shop that I'll tell you about in a minute. Right, so question number 5. What is your favourite brand that you can get easily within the UK? Or should I say within your country, but of course I'm in the UK. Now, as you know, I can only shop online. I haven't been out to any of the other shops at the moment. So the main brands that we can get hold of here are, I've lost it already. There we go. Stylecraft. Pato. Now I absolutely love Pato. It's got a wicked range of colours, and of course that's what I'm now stocking up on, because that's what I'm using for most of the blankets and other items that I make, because I like the price on it as well. I can get it for £1.20. Yeah, so mainly for me they're the 2 brands that I can get my hands on readily, that and the papaya. So they're the 3 brands that I normally purchase the most, because they are the most reasonably priced. Don't get me wrong, I do love a bit of Mandela, but the prices that we are having to pay for Mandela now are ridiculous because of all the extra import taxes and other things that are put onto it. So I actually found that the papaya, there is a papaya range of cakes that are Mandela. It is the same yarn, it's just got a different label on it. So they were purchased, you can purchase them from Good Vibes Yarn. And so of course that's another one for another one there that you can have a nose at. And I can't think what the question was. So as I said, at the moment the only brands that I can get easily are the ones that are online until next week, or today. No, it's today. Today, shops open again, yarn stores. I can start going round and being nosy. I plan to go into one certain shop that I'll tell you about in a minute. Right, question number 6. What is my favourite brand that isn't easy to get in the country? that's gotta be a quick jump over to my shelf. So did you work out which one I got my hands on? No? Okay, so I've got two choices here. Right, so the first one up I actually got in a yarn swap with Courtney from Fibre Fox Studios. Hi honey. And I absolutely loved it. It is the Yarn Bee, and pretty much most of the Yarn Bee range, and I really love it because of the orange sticker. Oh crikey, a $1.74. I would love those sort of prices. We've got no chance in the UK. So that was the very first one. And then my next one up is actually, it's going to sound strange, it is the Valuable Crinkle and Sparkle 8-ply that I brought in Australia from Spotlight when I went over there last to visit the family, and that was before the channel started as well. So those are the two ranges that I really like that I just can't get my hands on. And the Valuable, so sparkly. All of them are. It's really cool. Proper. And the other issue with those is you can only get them once at Christmas. Right, so question number 7 is, what is my favourite store, brick and mortar? Like online and brick and mortar. Well, as I've said, I can't really do the brick and mortar until today. So the only place I'd actually been that I knew had yarn that was basically specially for yarn and crafts was Hobbycraft. And I don't like their yarn prices at all. They are super duper overpriced, and you can get them their yarns from Derrymores and the Wool Warehouse at a cheaper price. And as you know, as some of you know, I like to compare where I purchase my yarn with those prices from Derrymores and Wool Warehouse. So my favourite online store has got to be the Secret Yarn Stash. She has got the prices that on her website are all cheaper than Derrymore or Wool Warehouse, excluding the Stylecraft. That matches, it's the same price, and the only drawback is that she can't ship outside of the UK and North and South Island, which is a bit of a pain, but it's more down to the fact of how much it's going to cost to send the stuff out and how much the postage would end up being. And at this moment in time, you wouldn't make a great deal of saving buying from her, because she's only a small company, so she hasn't got the clout like some of the bigger companies have. So yeah, that's where I like to get my online purchases for. Right, so question number 8. Do I keep my scrap yarn? And if so, what do I do with it? Okay, come on gang. You guys know I squeak when I walk. I don't like waste, and I try and use absolutely all of it. So when I'm working with this and it gets too small, it gets caked into this. When that gets too small, it gets caked into this. When it's below about 5 grams and you can't cake it anymore, I just roll it into a little ball. And behind here I've got a set of drawers. They're only small drawers, but they're very nice and deep, and in those I have got all of my DK yarn in one drawer, any Aran in the next drawer, and I separate it out by weight. And then what I also do is make sure that I've got the label on it as well, because I've got a couple of mixes of different brands, and the last thing I want to do is mix and match the different brands, especially if they have different care instructions. Then when I start a new project, I will show you a full ball of yarn stating this is what you're going to need, but I will use the offcuts first. So I use my smaller balls first and get rid of those, and then I will start on the bigger ball, which is why I can normally tell you the weights and how much you're going to need, because of course I also weigh these and I write on the labels how much is left. Very cheeky and a bit OCD maybe, but it works for me. So that is what I do with it. Now I have also got a little bag that I'm just going to grab from downstairs. Magic. Right, so this is a bag of red, black with a touch of green. This is all of the scraps from the poppies. So as I cut them off, I stick them into this bag. because I've even had an idea of what to use them for, but of course I'm going to wait and see how many scraps I end up getting for when I complete the 1,000 poppy challenge. At the moment we are on 360, so that's the scraps from 360 poppies, and of course the ends are only inch long by the time I've sewn them through and cut off the excess, and it weighs about 20 grams. Some of that might be the plastic bag though. Right, so question number 9 is what is my favourite thing to crochet or knit? Well, of course I only crochet, so what's my favourite thing to crochet? The newest project I'm doing and ideally something that I've not had to repeat. So I like to make a project once and then that's done, that's dusted, and move on to the next project, because with each project I do I like to step up a bit. So I like to encourage myself to either learn a new stitch to make the next project or something along that lines. So there's a difficulty rating. It's something that I don't already know how to do. So of course that's why I still like to jump onto other creators' channels and try out their patterns. It's something new and it's something I'm going to learn. And finally, and the last question, number 10. Oh, stupid tablet. Right, so question 10 is, if I could crochet one last thing for the rest of my life, what would it be and what yarn would I use? Okay, so selfish me would be blankets. Because of course with blankets I can change up the stitch, I can swap stitches around, I can create new inspirational items, and the yarn would be DK, and it would be the colours of the rainbow. And because then I don't have to stop creating anything, do I? Because of course if we're making a blanket you can turn that into a piece of clothing just by adding a hole here and a hole there and a seam here and a seam there. Of course with a blanket you can extend it and oh dear, you accidentally have a shawl. and different things like that. So to me it would be a blanket, it would be DK, but then the reason I picked the DK is because you can always double up your strands and all of a sudden you've got a heavier weight yarn. Really cheeky of me, I know, but that's that. But if it was a deadly serious and the only thing I could ever make again, it would have to be the poppies, because then it's not just for me, is it? It is for everybody. And of course the yarn I would use until the day they decide that they're going to stop making it would be the Signet Patos Everyday DK, of course in the cranberry, black and the green, which I haven't actually chosen the green yet because I've got too much green up on my up on the side anyway. So that is it. And you probably find that in years to come, when I'm really old and I've lost my marbles completely, I'll be sitting in my care home rocking, throwing poppies at the care staff. Oh dear. Right, that is it for me today, excluding the who am I going to tag? Oh, you're in trouble now, girls. Right, so who am I calling out? Right, tag You're It Fibre Fox Studio, our gorgeous Courtney at Fibre Fox Studio. Now there may be an issue with this because I know she hasn't done many face-to-face videos for a while, as her internet is pretty bad where she is, so she may not be able to actually make the video to upload, and I fully understand it, darling, but to be honest I have missed seeing your cheeky smiley giggly face. So fingers crossed you're able to do it. I haven't asked you either. I'm really bad. I haven't actually asked any of the girls that I'm tagging. Right, next one up is Ella at No Catchy Name. Now of course most of us know Ella anyway. She's happy, bubbly, and she shows us a lot of items that she makes and that she purchases. And my third one up is quite a small little channel at the moment, but she's super duper cheeky and slightly crazy as well, and that is our gorgeous Lisa at Ladybird Loves. So go on, honey, you've been tagged, all three of you being tagged is time to get recording. Links to each of the channels that I've mentioned will be in the comment section down below. So I'm now going to head off. I hope you enjoyed this really crazy video, and I will see you all really soon. So big hugs to you all. Please stay in, stay safe. Ta-ra for now. And finally, the last